happens when you can see your child's gifts so clearly, but then they get buried under all the challenges? Dr. William Dodson explains how to shift the paradigm to help bring our kids' gifts more into focus.
If you look at our diagnostic criteria, and also that has informed what the therapies are that have been tried, they are designed by and for researchers, not you and me, not clinicians, not certainly for patients. If you look at the 18 criteria, they're all behavioral. How many times has Johnny been up and out of his chair without permission in the last hour? They want numbers that they can publish in research and they can do statistical analysis on. In doing so, they ignore tremendous pieces of ADHD, which are actually, certainly for most adolescents and adults, far more important than their behavior is. They ignore how people with ADHD think. They ignore how people with ADHD manage their emotions. They ignore how people with ADHD sleep, or rather don't sleep. They ignore how they establish and maintain their relationships with other people, and in particular, marriages.
We're talking about a completely unique nervous system, a uniquely wired person, and I love that perspective. Could you tell us about that?
As with anything, it's very important that you ask the right questions. One of the questions that is certainly not being asked in the literature, but something I ask to every patient I see, is look back over your entire life, dredge up all the memories you can. If you have been able to get engaged and stay engaged with literally any task, have you ever found anything you couldn't do? Somebody with ADHD will think for a moment and they'll say, no, if I can get engaged, I can literally do anything. We've all had experiences with our kids where they will really get engaged with something and they will do stuff that is just amazing. And then they'll swing back again and be out in the ozone and not able to do anything. So they and we get these extended glimpses of just how very bright, clever, capable, inventive they are, and then it slips away again. So a lot of parents, unfortunately, will assume that this is under the conscious will and control of the kid. And the kid is just being a badass or not trying hard enough, or they're being defiant and oppositional and things like that, when the kid is just as mystified as anybody else. So how does a person with ADHD get engaged in the first place? There are only 5 possibilities. The big one is, are you interested by what you're doing? It's called an interest-based nervous system. If a person with ADHD is interested, they can literally do anything. They can do it if they're challenged or competitive. You can do it so long as it's new, novel, creative, artistic. But by definition, that one's time limited. Everything becomes old hat after a while, so that one doesn't last very long. One that's just about everybody's favorite is they can do it when it's urgent. Right at the do or die deadline, they can finally engage and usually turn out a huge amount of high quality work in a very short period of time. And the 5th one is what the guys at the Cleveland Clinic call passion. What is it about your life that gives it meaning and purpose? Now, most kids do not know that. The folks at the Cleveland Clinic say they really don't start talking about that until the person's 26. They have to have enough life experience, tried enough things to have really discovered what it is that makes their life a meaningful endeavor.
I think what's so tricky is if you're in a traditional school and you're doing the Common Core and we're doing X assignment today, it can feel like this school setting is not working for Johnny because Johnny won't get with the program, rather than let's make some changes to what we're asking Johnny to do in the classroom, like do something related to his strength.
Right. In fact, nobody with ADHD fits in a standard school system. They can succeed in spite of it. Because they're so very bright and capable, but they don't fit.
Okay, so I imagine you work with many families who have, a child and a parent in this situation, and they're just hitting a brick wall at school. What do you tell them to do?
The first thing is, and it's a very hard thing to do, and that is to accept that you are different. that you're never going to be able to do it the way a neurotypical person does. It's important that they have that understanding that the very things which organize and motivate all those other people don't work for me. I've got to do it my own way. I've got to discover what that is.
Yeah.
And a number of the people that you've interviewed have come to that point, that it was when they said, I'm going to do it my own way, I'm going to do it what works for me, that they really got freed up enough to explore what that was. And they stopped beating their heads against something that they were never going to be able to do or do well.